Hello, first-time coders. In today's video, we would like to see how decorators in Python work. This is a request from one of my viewers. I'm terribly sorry for uh, being late in producing this request video. So, the first thing we need to understand is, how do functions work? Well, if you have a function as shown in this video, then to call the function, we give it some input. So if I have 3, 4, and 2, then this value 3 will enter A, 4 will enter B, 2 will enter C, and then we'll have 3 plus 4, which is 7, divided by 2, which is 3.5. The value in 3.5 in line 3, we said return this value. So that value will replace this line, hence that value will enter inside y. And now if we try this, let's run this. Now if you try this and you print y, you would see the value inside y. Now the question is, what happens when you do this? Whenever you say y equal to solver, what you are simply doing is you are creating, think of the memory inside your computer like a drawer. So you are creating a drawer inside your computer, and the name of that drawer is y. Okay, so the drawer is y, and whatever value you put will enter inside that value. So when you do this processing, now the answer, which is the value of x, will enter into y, which is 3.5. Now what happens when you decide to put the value of y, when you decide to remove the bracket and you just say solver? Now when we run this, if we try to print y, what do we see? You can see that we are saving the whole function inside y. Remember, whenever you just put the name of the function without the bracket and its content, you are trying to put the whole function inside the variable. So what we did here is equivalent of removing this and then just doing something like this. So the whole of the function is now inside the drawer for y. Okay, so now since we have the whole function inside y, I can simply do this if I want. I can just say, okay, y 3, 4, and 2. Now it's just like putting the bracket in front of x, in front of solver, because I said solver and y are the same thing in this line here. So if we run this, we expect to see 3.5. Okay, now this concept is exactly what we use in decorators. What decorators do is they help us improve a function without actually changing the function. So for example, this y, I can improve it by saying, okay, I can have another function. Let's call it careful solver, and this careful solver will take a function as an input. Okay, now when it takes the function, then inside it we can ask the user to input the numbers. We can say a equal to, and then we can ask the user input, enter a value. Okay, so let's convert this to float. So now we have all the three inputs. If you remember in the previous example, let me leave the example, right? So if you remember, we just said print and we just put y and then we put 3, 4, and 2. Now I have my inputs. What I want to do is I want to make sure that C is not 0. So I can just say, okay, if C is equal to 0, then print you cannot divide by 0. Okay, so else if C is not 0, then we can just say, okay, print. I'll just do exactly the same thing as here, so let me just copy this one just to make life easy. So we can have print. So this will give us, we will put A here, we'll put B here, and then we'll put C here. Okay, so let's try running this code. So let's start from the top. Okay, this will give us 3.5. Now this will ask us for input, right? Oh yeah, we have to call the function, right? So let's create a let's call the function. Okay, now let's run it. Oh, of course, we have to give it the y, which is the function. All right, so now if you remember, y is the solver function itself, is the solver function. So what I'm doing here is I'm calling this function line 12. Okay, and I'm telling line 12, I'm giving line 12 my function, which is y. All right, so if you remember, line 12 is just this guy here. So if I just say careful solver and I put y, what I'm simply doing is I'm taking this function and I'm giving it as y. So this value of y will enter inside func. So now function is the same as this value here. Oh, now I see the mistake. Instead of y, it should be function, right? Because this is the variable for my function. Okay, so let's correct that. Let's change this to func because this is the variable inside my function. So let's run this. Now let's run this. Now if I give it the value of a as 3, I give it the value of b as 4, and I give it the value of c as 2, I expect to see the same result. Why? Because if you look at the drawing here, we took the value inside y, which is the whole function, we give it to the new function we are calling, and then when we call that function, we send that value, which is the value inside y, which is the original function, as func. So what happens next is that my when we collect some input, we can easily just give it to the function to solve for us. So that's the basic idea about how decorators work. So thank you for listening and see you next time.